Hello students, today we are going to study chapter number 6 of English grammar, and the name of the chapter is verbs. And in this particular chapter students, we are going to study about subject-verb agreement. Now what is subject-verb agreement students? Students, the verb in a sentence must agree in number with the subject. It means that a singular subject requires a singular verb and a plural subject requires a plural verb. Now, this arrangement or agreement is known as subject verb agreement. Now, let's take a few examples, students. The first example says Arun goes to the cinema. Now, students, now in this sentence, Arun is a singular subject and goes is the singular verb. Now take the second example. We go to the cinema. Now students, we is the plural subject over here and the plural verb is go. Taking the third example, students, the shopkeeper sells stationery. Now the shopkeeper is singular subject while sells is the singular verb. Taking the fourth example, students, they sell stationery. Now, students, the word they is plural subject and it is accompanied by the plural verb sell over here, students. Now, let's move to the rules for subject verb agreement that you should be remembering in your mind when you are dealing with subject verb agreement. So let's see. Now students, two or more singular subjects joined by the word and take a plural verb. Students, now let's take the example over here. Phuket and Krabi are beautiful islands in Thailand. Now students, we have the word and over here, students, and we are also using the plural verb are over here, students. Now let's take the second one. It says collective nouns take a singular verb. For example, the class was punished for its misbehavior. Now in this sentence, students, the class is a collective noun. Class means a group of students sitting in a room which is called class. So it's actually a collective noun. Now students, it's written the class was punished for its misbehavior. Now, was punished is the singular verb over here. Now let's take the third one, students. Two or more singular subjects joined by or take a singular verb. Students, the newspaper, let's take example of it, students. The newspaper or the magazine contains this information. Now students, the newspaper is a singular subject and we are using the word or over here and we are utilizing another singular subject over here, that is the magazine, students. And the singular verb for these singular subjects is information, students. Students, now let's move ahead. The verb agrees with the subject that is nearer to it. So when we are using either or, neither nor, and not only, then we will be also using but also. Let's take some example, students. For example, if I say either Raj or his brothers are coming, students, so we are using either and we are using or together. Taking the next example, students, neither his brothers nor I am coming. So neither and nor are used over here, students. Now let's take the next type, students. And it says in this fifth one, in this fifth rule, students, it says the verb agrees with the first subject when two subjects are joined by as well as, with, and along with. Let's take a few examples, students. For example, if I say the woman as well as her sons was present at the party, students. So in this way, we are connecting two different things, two different subjects, the woman and her sons. Now, taking the next example, students, the women along with the president were present at the party. So, the women and the president, both of them are two different subject, students, over here, and they are joined by along with. Now, students, nouns that are preceded by each, every one of, either of, neither of, take a singular verb. For example, if I say every student has to sign the copy, so I'm using every over here. Taking the next example, students, either of the siblings has taken my phone. Now, students, over here, we are using either of, students. Now, taking the next step, students, nouns that are plural in form but singular in meaning take a singular verb. For example, if I say the news is not really favorable, students. So the news, students, over here, now is actually a plural in form, but actually in meaning we know it is singular in meaning. The next one, student, says, the next rule says nouns that are always plural take a plural verb. For examples, let's take, students, my trousers have a giant hole. Now, students, my trousers. So, students, it's plural. It's a plural noun over here. And we are using a plural verb. My trousers have a giant hole. Taking the next, students, the next rule says proper nouns, if plural, but denoting a single name, take a singular verb only. For example, if we say Tom and Jerry is my favorite cartoon series, so we know that is the name of a cartoon serial by the name of Tom and Jerry, and they are not plural, rather it's just one because it's the name of the cartoon series, students. Now, students, moving to the next thing, and that it says, students, a lot of, plenty of, some of, and fractions like quarter of, half of, etc. take a singular verb when we are referring to amounts and quantities which are uncountable, and a plural verb when we are referring to numbers which are countable, students. For example, there is a lot of bread for the entire party. Half of the houses were nearly painted. When we say half of the houses, it means we can count it. But when we say a lot of bread, it's uncountable, students. Now, take the next rule, students. It says anyone, everyone, someone, anybody, somebody, nobody, each, one, either, and neither are always singular. For example, if I say nobody is allowed to move till the police arrives. So we are using the word nobody over here. Taking the next example, students, the next one says both, few, many, others, and several are always plural. And students, let's take an example for it. Both athletes are running step for step. So students, when we saying athletes, it means they are plural. Now taking the next example, students, and the last one, it says all, any, more, most, and some are singular when the subject following them is also singular, and plural verb when the subject following them is plural. Now students, let's take two examples for it. Some of that metal sheet is needed for the experiment. So students, some of that metal. Taking the next example, students, some of the animals have escaped from their enclosures. Students, so again we are using some of, students. I hope you were able to understand the subject verb agreement. Thank you.